in this era of interesting videos. We are so much interested in watching interesting and popular videos. Popular means most pleasurable and interesting. Interesting because it is most publicized, mostly popularized. That's why most people aren't watching it, because it creates sensations, it creates sensational issues. It's like it is making our senses excited. There are two ways of making ourselves excited. One is through senses, that is through outside in, and another is from inside, means we have to visualize the thing and make ourselves interested. Why we need to interest is because having a goal and vision, having goal and vision, and repeatedly and create the environment for our goal statement. If I write the goal statement, if I visualize the process, and if I see myself doing the things which are right to do, which takes me towards my vision, then that's journey is going to be excited. Then the outside popularized videos don't make us do the unnecessary things. So in that sense, we are more do the things which we are really interested, the sense which you are serious about. Those things are not easy things, but hard things, but they are easy for those people who actually visualize it. That visualization is to be done. That visualization is to take place before actually going to do the task. Multiplied, I am telling it same thing, but if you don't visualize it, and if you don't know how to visualize it, I am telling you one thing, that is planning. Planning the day before going to sleep. The next day, you have to mm, you have to buy a notebook and write on that heading planner, and write down what are the my what are my objectives, what are the goals which I am gonna do achieve, and know about why I need to achieve, what is the importance of it. If I achieve that goal for tomorrow, what is the impact of it after 6 months, after 1 year, after 5 years, what is the impact of achieving that goal in the after 10 years, how my life after 20 years, how is that if my tomorrow this goal is achieved, and see that in that sense, and connect tomorrow's goal for the 20 years of your vision of your life. Suppose if you 20 years after you want to be an officer, like you want to be in the rank of major or wing commander of 20 after 20 years. At that time, as a wing commander, and what is that tomorrow action, what is the tomorrow's action will ensure you are just of one step ahead of today for in the direction of that becoming wing commander. So by becoming a wing commander, what is the positive steps, what is the proactive step you can take for tomorrow, what are the steps you need to take for tomorrow, and just note down those things and read out after wake up. Write down the evening and read it after wake up. Read it aloud. Okay, those steps. That is like a book for you. Either you do it or not, don't bother about it. Just read it after wake up. Suppose you are gonna wake up at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Just read for 5 minutes whatever you have written, the plan of action for tomorrow, in keeping the view of your 20 years of your vision of yourself, that picture of yourself after 20 years as a wing commander Jagdish. As a wing commander Jagdish, and seeing it, what is the first step you can take? What are the what are the steps you are gonna take for tomorrow in that direction of becoming, in the direction of your vision? And what are that goal my post for tomorrow? What is the milestone for tomorrow to achieve? For example, tomorrow my goal post is to become officer. My goal post is to learn some practice some PPT stories. Supposedly, five stories used to be narrated within 1 minute for each story, and 5 stories is to be written and completed in 5 stories of an hour. Okay, in 5 stories of an hour I need to complete. That is the step which I need to take. The same way, 5 news articles have to read, 5 international news and 5 national news, and editorials, and that regarding the news about it. For each article, 5 minutes, and each editorial, and like that. No, that will take 1 hour time. So total 1.5 hour for tomorrow, and I have to repeat it again for one hour, and then I have to repeat it for another 1 hour. So total it takes 4 hours of your time. Tomorrow is afternoon duty for you. So in the morning hours of hours, use this 4 hours of your time, block it, chunk it, and use this time for that purpose of achieving in the direction of your vision. How to ensure, okay, you have written it, but to make sure you have to done it, made reminders, and as you read it for tomorrow, wake up at 5 o'clock supposedly, and then read it, and if you don't do it, give you punishment. Don't have lunch, don't take any break. Do it first, and then you can go to anything else. So now ensure, now planning is to be done now at 9:30. Now by 9:45 I will start the planning part of tomorrow, and I will do it accordingly. I go to sleep at 10 o'clock to have 7 hours of sleep, to by wake up at 4:30. Suppose 6:30 hours, 6.5 hours. I don't need more than 6.5 hours sleep. I go to sleep by 10 o'clock at sharp. At least I will go to go on bed and do 10 to 20 minutes of meditation and go to sleep. Now within 15 minutes I will write the plan. After 5 minutes of this completion of the video, I will complete the video in 5 minutes. So why I am prepare why I need to prepare a video. You know, what is the need of preparing the video? Everybody saying that video is why we are not doing it for any benefit of getting money, anything. But it is not money, but it is more than the money. By expressing my views, I am improving my communication skills, and I'm able to express freely, so it improves my communication very much. And also, in the future, for the future time, it will ensure I will watch it again, and I will know what is the mindset of that time, what are the mindset I have. And nowadays I am watching multiple videos in YouTube to consume internet. Particularly, I have subscribed. I have now Wi-Fi also, so it's easy for me to watch a lot of videos of others. So what it happens is, when it is coming from outside in a lot of videos, it is cluttering my mind. So I couldn't, I am. It is like foggy mind, because of which I have no clarity of thought. So it make my life fuzzy and confused. So for that matter, I need to use internet. So having a lot of thoughts in my mind, I couldn't think of clearly. So I think, instead of watching videos of others, I will express my own views. As I express my views, it helps me in communication skills, in improving communication skills, and also it is, it is also helpful for me in the future course of action, as well as I am consuming internet as well for that purpose. And I am doing some productive job here in doing making videos. So this is the thing. And now I will tell you most important thing of today. For at least I have 2 minutes time now, so let me read important English editorial for today. Editorials which I have today: a budget blueprint for difficult times. Alarming inequality, failing healthcare, and border tensions loom large, and the economic situation needs full attention. As the country prepares to enter a new financial year after an ominous and gloomy 2021, there are great expectations about green shoots and the shape of economic recovery. The havoc wreaked by the novel coronavirus pandemic on people's lives and livelihoods is deep and enormous. The impact of the COVID-19 induced lockdown cannot be understood merely through headline macroeconomic numbers of GDP, stock market indices, industrial activity indices, or any such measure. COVID-19 has destroyed lives and incomes. It has also ruptured our social fabric. It has exacerbated the inequality between the haves and have-nots, which can turn into a permanent scar if not remedied urgently. It is in this context that we must assess the current state of the economy and evaluate further action for the immediate future. Missed opportunities. The sudden onslaught and rapid spread of COVID-19 has devastated most nations. And we believe India could have done better, a better planned lockdown, by being sensitive to India's unique conditions of a large migrant and informal workforce, could have reduced the deep distress in the labor market. A responsible and generous fiscal and package would have soothed millions of struggling families, brought foods to starving homes, and contained widening inequality. The Reserve Bank of India's actions to supply enough liquidity were laudable, but inadequate. They were inadequate. One of the most telling signs of the economic desperation of economic families was and is the demand for work under the Manrega program after being mocked by the Prime Minister Manrega by providing work at minimum wages to anyone that asked has proved to be the only safety net. Only safety net. Okay. So, National Rural Employment Guarantee Act program, after being mocked by the Prime Minister Manrega by providing work at minimum wages to anyone that asked, has proved to be the only safety net for hundreds of millions of Indian households during these times of severe distress. Nearly 120 million people have asked for work under Manrega this financial year, the highest in the history of the program. Total work demanded under Manrega in 2020 to 2021 is 53% higher than last year. The optimum about headline economic recovery in the last few months seems hollow when we realize that nearly 35 million people have requested Manrega work in the months of December and January, the highest in the 6 months. Such continued high demand for Manrega work at subsistence wages is a clear sign that there is no true economic recovery, let alone a V or any other letter shaped. Even as hundreds of millions of Indians were struggling with loss of jobs and Manrega work, India's stock markets were exuberant and reached record levels. India's stock market indices are at the highest levels ever. The top 50 companies increased their market wealth by nearly 3 lakh crore in rupees during this time. This excess liquidity pumped in by central banks is finding its way to asset markets, including India's stock markets, driving it to unreasonable highs. The stock market exuberance were to benefit the broader economy and most Indians, then it is welcome. Alas, the benefits of rising stock markets have accrued only to a minuscule few. The curative economic measures of governments in response to the COVID-19 pandemic may have unintentionally caused one of the worst phases of economic disparity between the richest and the poor in the most nations. Threats and weaknesses. Soaring asset prices and supply shocks have also led to a rise in consumer price inflation. Rising inflation inevitably forced the RBI to tighten interest rates or at least pause the lowering of rates. The tighter monetary policy carries the risk of slowing down private investment with the consequential effect of lackluster growth in jobs and wages. India's macroeconomic is thus precariously poised and needs deft handling. The external sector could be a potentially savior of Indian economy as global trade grows from its post-COVID-19 lows. Unfortunately, however, the government has shot itself in the foot by reversing its trade policies suddenly and turned inwards toward import substitution, quantitative restrictions, and non-tariff barriers and sunning trade alliances. Over the past 3 decades, a surge in labor-intensive exports has been the predominant driver of growth in jobs and wages for millions of high and low-skilled Indians. The slowdown in exports and the misplaced diversion to two-way external trade will further harm the livelihoods. Further harm the livelihoods of many Indians. India's fiscal policy response to the COVID-19 shock has been underwhelming, and the lack of basic minimum income safety net to cope with the shock has plunged millions of families into poverty. As of December 12, millions of adult Indians have dropped out of the labor force compared to the last year when, given India's demographic profile, there should have been a net addition to the labor force. Unemployment in the formal sector too is very high. Most supply side measures such as the government's corporate tax cuts, loan moratoriums, and current trade credit schemes seem to help corporates to boost their profits and reduce their debt. They have hardly been used to make new investments or create jobs or increase wages. Besides, in continuation of previous policy catastrophes, demonetization, material goods and services tax, the government has sought to thrust thought policy such as the controversial formulas in the nation with no consultation or discussions. As a result, the lone bright spot in the economy, thus for agriculture, has also been wrecked with rising anger among farmers, confusion over farm produce procurement, doubts over the continuation of minimum support price, and loss of trust between farmers and the government. The other fiscal measures to aid the needy is to embark on a large scale public investment program that can stimulate economic activity, create jobs, and revive demand. However, the government's fiscal situation is bleak. The government had budgeted to elect tax revenues of 16 lakh crore rupees in 2020-2021. 8 months into the year, the government has been able to collect only 7 lakh crore in tax revenues at the end of November 2020. In contrast, the government had budgeted to spend 30 lakh crore this financial year and is on track to fulfilling and even possibly exceeding its expenditure budget. We believe that the government was right to not cut back on expenditure despite falling revenues during a time of unprecedented crisis. Though we may differ on the priorities of expenditure, therefore India's fiscal deficit is bound to rise significantly. We can live with it provided there are smart responses to inflation and future borrowing, the non-negotiables. The government task is cut out. Given the reality of an unequal economic recovery, a misconceived trade policy, and perilous fiscal situation, the government will have to unveil its